Hello everybody, it's good to be with you late on a sunny Friday afternoon. It's been a big day for me. I was conducting the funeral of my mother today at Springvale, and on the way home I just reflected on the funeral service, and none of my family are Christians, but Mum was. And I commented in the sermon, the message during the service, that life is very fleeting. Life is incredibly sacred, but it's incredibly fleeting in the overall scheme of things. The most precious thing in all the universe is a human soul. And the proof of that is that God spent the blood of Jesus for every human soul to redeem them, not knowing whether they'd respond to his gift of grace or not. So the human soul is the most precious thing in all the universe. God sacrificed himself for human souls. I mean, try to get your head around that. It's enormous. But I commented in the message that life is fleeting. Sacred though it is, it's fleeting. It doesn't last that long. Before you know it, here you are, 65, 70, 80 years of age. I know young people might think, well, big deal, I've got 50, 40 years to go. It goes very quickly. It really does. And so I reflected as I was driving home on Ephesians 5:16, where Paul says, verse 15 and 16 says, be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, because he said, and the Old King James Version is better than the new NIV version, he says, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Redeeming the time because the days are evil. What you do here, I mean, what does he say redeeming? You can't get time back. What he's saying is make amends or make some recalibrations to the way you live your life so that you're making the most of it while you've still got it. Because we come into this world, we don't have a say on how that happens. And most of us don't have a say on how we exit this world. Come into the world and go out of the world, we do and we must. But we don't have a lot of control over those two things, the beginning and the end of it all. We don't control when we breathe our last breath. Well, we have a lot of responsibility and a lot of choice about how we live in between those 2 points. And so I want to just encourage you today to wake up. If you're in a bit of a slumber about if life's become a bit mundane or a bit routine, a bit too routine, or a bit patterned so that it's just one day bleeding into another day and another year bleeding into another year and so on, take stock. And a funeral is a good time to take stock and ponder the path of your feet, as King Solomon once said 2,900 years ago. And then he says, ponder the path of your feet. Look at how you're going, how you're treading, what paths are for your life, where they're going, and then makes them established if they're good. In other words, make good choices, establish that in your life, and don't veer off that. But I was reflecting on the way home how people tend to waste a lot of time these days. I've been guilty of wasting time. But Paul says here, redeem the time. Redeeming the time. It's a process, it's a habit, it's a discipline. Why do you can? Because the days are evil. I don't know about you, but evil's closing in a little bit. So make the most of your time. What's important right now? What are the kingdom responsibilities or the kingdom priorities that God's laying on your heart? What's the most important thing for you to be focusing on now? And if you haven't been focused on it, what do you do to recalibrate your life so that your path is really established now and going in the right direction? Redeeming the time, buying it back. Now, I know that's technically illogical, but Paul was making a point. He said, basically saying, just make the most of every minute you've got while you've got it, because there'll come a time when you've got no time left, very little time left. And it's too late then to make some of these adjustments. It's too late then to make changes that would have dramatically altered the course of your life. You can't do it when you're in a coma. You can't do it when you're unconscious because of medications or because of deterioration of your mind so that you can't even communicate to anybody else in any meaningful way. It's too late then. So you make adjustments now, redeeming the time while you can, because the days are evil. They're not going to get any better. So it's important that we make the best decisions we possibly can while we can. And we focus on the King of Kings, on things above, not things that are here. And we let those things influence the recalibrations of our lives for His glory and for our eventual reward in heaven. Well, be encouraged today. Bit of a sad day in some ways for me, but a joyous day, because I'll see my mum again. She made a commitment. She redeemed the time. She made a difference. And she's now in eternity at peace and pain-free. May God bless you as you contemplate this message. Bye-bye.